Production of Broad and High is funded in part by the Greater Columbus Arts Council, supporting arts, advancing culture, and connecting the community to artists, events, and classes at columbusmakesart.com. And by the Ohio Arts Council, a state agency that funds and supports quality arts experiences.
This time on Broad and High, we celebrate the life and work of Denny Griffith and Amina Robinson.
There's this Italian boyfriend that you told me about one time.
Leonardo. I love Leonardo.
It's not about the cancer, but it's certainly about the joy of being alive.
Welcome to a very special edition of Broad and High. Denny Griffith and Amina Robinson were two very distinctive voices in Columbus. Their passing has left the arts community in mourning, not just for who they were, but for the work they had yet to do here among us. And let's not forget Sherry Mitchell as well, for her work at Ballet Met was extraordinary, and she will be remembered for her leadership, her friendship, and for her bubbly personality. So we wanted to take this episode to pause and to remember. We'll start with Denny Griffith, who spent 40 years as a painter, 16 of them while also serving as president of the Columbus College of Art and Design. His most recent works have a playful energy that hint at the extraterrestrial and indeed another world.
I've been making pictures in my mind, as a committed artist for 40 years. It's part of a whole journey of life, and I think it's tempting, particularly for students, to see the proclamation that I'm an artist as this kind of destination, but it's a journey, and it's a journey that carries us our whole life. It's a process of inquiry, questioning, wondering out loud, what am I doing? How do these forms of expression that this guy is making or this woman's making, how does it shape the way other people think? How does it make a difference? So there's been this, this kind of bridge between being a college president, fundraiser, manager of people, and a guy that wants to make things that are worthy of looking at and thinking about. I've been working with beeswax and oil pigment mixed together for over 20 years. Given the fact that I was trying to continue a really focused and vigorous career as an artist on top of being a focused and vigorous college president, I found that this beeswax, this encaustic, was a really great way to go. Build up beautiful surfaces rapidly, go back in and paint over them, paint into them, scratch through them, and get some wonderful kind of biomorphic shapes that would make you think of cells or microorganisms or little molds, little funguses, little growing things. I'd been thinking back to work that I'd done more than 20 years ago. It was abstract, had used the same materials, but it had these totemic forms, these shapes that stood up in the middle of them. And somehow those were calling to me 20 years later. And that's where this work comes from. Okay. I've got this outline in my head of what I intend to do, but just an outline. This is an improvisational process in which my development of this family of characters over the last, sneaking up on 2.5 years, I think. Each painting influences the one that's going to follow it. Yeah, right now they are earthy and they are what we would expect. Greens, blues, browns, the stuff of landscape. And what will happen is, before we're done, I'm going to add some, what the formalists would call non-local color. Those So, I suppose let's put a screaming yellow in there and some white, and stick it on some spools of legs, and let's see what happens when we yank that baby out of its context a little bit by playing around with some of that other stuff. And it's pretty simple to do. It's just it has to be, right now it's part of this deliberate kind of dance that I'm doing. So, yeah, so I'd want to brighten that thing up and make it more playful. Better. Better, better. Okay. I'm happier with that. About the time I was leaving, or after the time I had retired, Michael said, there's more here than just a goodbye show. There's a lot more here, and I'd like to look into that with you. I said, that's really welcome. He finally showed up here one day, and he said, I think we need to do an exhibition. And he said, we got a couple of big galleries, we're redoing the galleries. So that's what we embarked on doing. And he would come down here, and we'd look at the work, and we'd talk about what was happening and what wasn't happening. It just kept getting more interesting. The shapes kept getting more interesting, and sometimes I'd lose my way, and sometimes he'd find something in a painting that I'd go, whoa, I didn't see that. So, on that level, it was a really deep and important collaboration between Michael Goodson and Denny Griffith. I have personal relationships with them, but they're not creatures I put to bed at night or anything like that. They're just these whole bunch of guys and girls and critters, animated characters. Well, they could be animated. Some of them should be animated. And in fact, I had the wonderful Becca Nunn animate one of these things. And I talked about, giving her the freedom, to have it experience something. And I said, the idea that these things would be in the process of reproducing somehow, I think is playful and funny, and important. And so we ought to try to get that out of them. And really happy with the way it came out. The thing kind of pulses and moves across the page, and it drops some babies. There are some things that seem to be babies. They're full of life because we're reproducing. They're spawning somehow. So yeah, I'm not sure what they are, other than we've got a whole stinking family of them now. That up until a few days ago, I was saying it's not about the cancer. It's not about the cancer. It's not about the cancer, but it's certainly about the joy of being alive and the playfulness and kind of reverence I have for life. And it's nice to be able to draw on all the references that you've always drawn on as a painter and photographer and artist, and see this stuff kind of coming into some coherence that makes people giggle a little bit, see the humor in it, see the playfulness, see the mystery. It's developed into a family that really is another world.
Amina Robinson was a folk artist and storyteller whose work focused largely on her African-American heritage and the Poindexter Village neighborhood of Columbus, where she grew up. Her textile work is unmistakable and has been shown in galleries and museums around the world. And in Columbus, there's a mural off East Broad Street that is based on her work. In 2005, WOSU documented the creation of the mural, and we went back again in 2013 during efforts to restore it.
The project is this wonderful collaboration between State Auto, Columbus College of Art and Design, and the museum. And when I think about that, that is so appropriate for Amina's work because it's all about making connections and links and bridges.
When we looked at the project, there was this big plain wall that just was staring us all in the face. And we said, wouldn't it be nice to add some color to that? What about a mural? And that was the beginning.
This is the first day of drawing, and we've put a grid up on the wall, as you can see, with the red lines. And the students are now using small squared drawings to transfer the gridded original to the wall.
The minute I saw what they were doing first I saw the very fine drawing. It reminded me of Leonardo. I love Leonardo from way back. But this drawing, you know, and they were in sync with each other. It was a rhythm. It was music.
The cool thing is, like, when you're just standing next to a person, I mean, you absolutely have to work together on this. Like, even back in the drawing stages when we each had a square and we were gridding it and we were drawing, you know, if your line doesn't match your neighbor's line, then something's not right. And so you gotta teamwork on that. You have to say, okay, you know, do we both need to adjust? Are you wrong? Am I wrong? So people learn to kind of put aside their own egos a little bit. There's just very few places in art where that kind of thing happens, because art is so much about, like, ego and making your own vision happen, you know, and this has been really good, I think.
It's phenomenal. The students are doing a magnificent job, and I've seen the mural in progress, and I just think the world of each and every one of them. And of course, I think Columbus College of Art and Design is the finest school in the world, finest art school in the world. And what they're doing, it's more than what you see here, because they have their signature and their lives within the work. So it evolves and it becomes something really wonderful.
I was hoping to make the mural so that the part that she drew and painted looks flat, and then the buttons and the stitches and the fabric painted on what's called trompe-l'oeil, which is fool the eye, you know, so they really look like they're on the wall.
I kind of just like first start with like a little underpainting, just like of like the general color, and then I just try to make little highlights and blend them together.
Oh, I think there's a great connection between that piece and the fact that it's on the street with all the noises and all the hustle and bustle of the city, because that's what so much of Amina's work is about. Even when she travels, she always says she finds her neighborhood, Mount Vernon Avenue, Poindexter Village, wherever she goes, be it Chile or Israel or Africa. So I think to put her work that has captured the spirit of that neighborhood in the street on the street is completely appropriate.
Oh, God, that's so beautiful. I love this button because it reminds me of the mountains.
I think that we're pretty darn lucky that we did this. I feel very good about it.
The community is beyond one's life. You see, one's life never begins with oneself. Somebody brought you here. You have roots. You did not just come here alone. There is a community that nurtures, not only within your immediate community, but throughout the world.
When we first painted the mural, the wall had a lot of big cracks in it, and we had to have them caulked and filled before we started. And so this is just the natural life cycle of the caulking. It's failing, and the owners of the building need to fix it so that the building stays sound. And to fix it, they're going to have to damage the mural. We're outlining the cracked areas, and these areas are actually not flaws in the painting itself. The painting itself is held up really, really well because of that varnish that we used to protect it, but the caulk that is in between the cinder blocks, caulk fails after a certain number of years. It's normal. And the building also is old enough that it was not built with expansion joints, and so the building is settling, and these cracks are also, it's normal for a building that settles every 5 or 7 years has to have its cracks caulked. So the restoration that we're going to be doing is actually not because the mural is falling apart, but because the building is falling apart. Once we get up there and remove the varnish and then put the new paint on top of the area that needs to be repaired, we'll be able to see, putting the, if we put the purple here, and we'll see, oh, okay, this has faded because the new paint will be much darker. And in that case, it's going to be a lot more complicated because we'll have to actually blend, mix the color to match the old faded color. And then revarnish the whole thing, because it's actually time to give it a new coat of varnish to protect it for another 7 years. The varnish, its lifespan is from 5 to 10 years, they say, depending on the environment, so it's time.
Amina Robinson received her formal art training at what was then known as the Columbus Art School, which later became the Columbus College of Art and Design. In April 2015, she reflected on her life and career in a conversation with Denny Griffith, who for 16 years served at the helm of the art school.
The only reason why I had to do what I did is because of my father. I couldn't speak. I couldn't talk.
Until you were what?
5 or 6.
But your dad, how did your dad coax it out of you? I mean, what did he do to help support you?
Every morning when we had breakfast, he would teach me how to look at my surroundings, not a particular thing or person, but the whole surrounding. So my father said, "Tell me, Bren, what do you see?" No, I love to take out my notebook and begin to draw. So I would draw it, and I'm still trying to speak. But my father died at 61. So he was young.
How old were you when he passed, Amina?
I was 39.
Okay.
So
you were an adult, yeah.
I was an adult. I had just gotten back from Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in September, and he asked me, "What did you see? What did you smell? What was the difference? What was the sun like?" So I'd take out my notebook. But I could speak, but I still took out my notebook and began to draw.
So how did that trip to Africa come about?
Kojo and Marianne from OSU, they decided that their should be other artists besides them to go to Africa. And they chose 4 people, but only one went at a time. It changed my life.
Yeah,
Because
isn't that where you got, you were given this, this extra name that we all know you by now?
yes, there was a holy man in Egypt. He says, your name is Amina. I said, oh, okay. So what I did, I told my father. I said, they gave me another name. He said, well, what is it? I said, Amina. That's what they said. That's what this holy man said. And he said, do you know what your grandmother's middle name is? I said, no, I know her first name is Pearlie. That's his mother. Pearlie Amina.
Wow.
And my auntie, her middle name is Amina. So when I found that out, I made it legal. I didn't change anything that my parents gave me.
Just
I
added
just
it on.
added on.
Poindexter Village occupied a really kind of key place in your life and in the life of the community. Can you just say a little bit about what, I mean, verbally, what it was like growing up there and the way it ties into your work?
Yes, it ties into my work through my parents because they were born, raised, and educated in the Blackberry Patch.
And the Blackberry Patch and Poindexter Village, where these are like, sorry, like sort of neighbors? Or, I mean, these were like neighborhoods that were sort of next to each other, where they were like one thing grew out of the other? I've never been really clear about that.
Well, the Blackberry Patch was leveled
Okay.
in order to build,
build-
the
okay.
first metropolitan housing development
All right.
in the country.
So
And
that
that was Poindexter Village,
was the wellspring for all that.
1940.
So, so you had the Africa trip, which you said really changed you. And then there's this Italian boyfriend that you told me about one time.
Leonardo. I love Leonardo. Leonardo was given to me by my father. You know, my father worked in the Columbus Public Schools as a janitor. Someone knew, or he told a teacher, that I loved art. That teacher gave him a book of Leonardo. I was 12.
Wow.
And my father gave me the book. And I just fell in love with its manuscript pages. I just went into my studio at 12. And you know where that was? Under the bed.
Well, you know, narrative is such an important part of your work. You know, and everything you do has stories embedded in it that are about distinctive communities, like you've just explained. You know, the Blackberry Patch leading to Poindexter Village, and so there's always been this kind of deep relationship for you that I find between storytelling in your work and the kind of narrative that goes on behind it, and then these books that are embedded in it, and so it all seems like it's of a piece. Is that like a strategic part of your work, or is it just a natural part of the way you see the world?
I would say it's a natural way in which I walk into the world. Every journey is a gift. And those gifts will be returned to my community. And that's a fact.
So that raises another interesting point. You have this rich relationship with the Columbus Museum of Art.
Yes.
And you just made reference to the fact that they will return to the community. So tell us a little bit more about what's behind that statement.
they took me in as a part of their exhibition. I was 16 years old, 1956. They, you know, I just do humble works, you know, I live a humble life. But they saw something in my work. 1956, and I will never forget that, never.
To Denny, Amina, and Sherry, we thank you for sharing such extraordinary talent with us. And to you at home, thanks for watching. We'll bring you more great stories from around Central Ohio next week on Broad and High.
Production of Broad and High is funded in part by the Greater Columbus Arts Council, supporting arts, advancing culture, and connecting the community to artists, events, and classes at columbusmakesart.com. And by the Ohio Arts Council, a state agency that funds and supports quality arts experiences.